Assalamualaikum, I'm Zahid. I'm going to present my paper entitled Public Administration in the COVID-19 Era, the Deconstruction of the Malaysian Public's Common Sense. So, before the COVID-19 hit the country, the divisions of perception amongst the Malaysian public over the modern sciences were not really tense. The common sense on matters related to public health was quite solid, intact. It was easier for the government to implement its public policies and services, meaning to say back then, since the independence, the government managed to mold the public perceptions related to public health uh, so that the public had a good perception towards modern medical sciences back then. But all of a sudden, after the advent of the pandemic, the public started to doubt the government's action in fighting the virus, meaning to say, yes, back then they followed any efforts done by the government in maintaining good public health, but now they started to doubt. This became worsened as the crisis escalated, and hostility towards the government began to increase as more people started to believe in such arguments and join the growing faction thanks to the social media algorithm that eventually managed to mold these antagonistic citizens into one strong historical bloc in the Gramscian sense. Not only any government's action in overcoming the virus problems, but this also happened in other matters too. Any actions by the government outside the sphere of public health were also subjected to strong criticisms from the public. This is important because it involves the question of life and death of individuals. So the pandemic are coming, the deconstructions of the common sense. As mentioned, when the virus first hit the country, many Malaysians were worried and they hoped for the vaccine to be available. Okay. However, the vaccine, it was told that we need 2 years period, okay, for it to be fully developed. Therefore, for more than 2 years, Malaysians were living in fear and holding tight on the strict adherence of the SOP. To get the vaccine available was like a dream comes true. All right, back then. However, okay, yes, initially at that time, the government, through the Ministry of Health, through the NSC, became the public agencies that were tasked with monitoring and controlling the spread of the virus. So the public at first was really trying their best to follow the SOP, all right, and to be updated with the current amendments made to it. Even though there were fines given to those who broke the SOP, many others later became familiarized with the new norms since the government had been blasting the information about SOP via its propaganda apparatuses. So songs, advertisements, pamphlets, documentaries, news headlines, posters, to name a few, were some of the propagandas used to disseminate information related to the new norms in order to curb the virus. However, within the 2 years period, sadly many had passed away due to the virus and many were infected. Even though at first this problem was seriously haunting the mind of the public, later they slowly, however, started to change. What was changed was that their common sense. It was surprising to see after the 2 long years of waiting, a huge number of the public began to become skeptical towards the arrival of the new vaccines to the country. This can be seen through their response in social media posting when they started to cast their doubts about the vaccines. All of a sudden, the Malaysian society slowly became polarized in terms of their opinions toward the modern medical sciences. This became worsened when a number of individuals started to become influencers in the social media platforms and they began to strongly influence and steer the common sense of the public. They used different sorts of argument ranging from conspiracy theories, which involve Freemasonry, Illuminati, you name it. So the main argument was that the vaccine had terminal side effects and therefore the public must avoid it. The people must not succumb to the government's propagandas as the government and state machineries had their own hidden agenda. Starting from doubting the vaccine, now they started to hate the Ministry of Health, together with its doctors and later its director generals too. All right. So the public was also once had strong affection toward the Director General, but now they started to despise the Director General, for example. All right. Nonetheless, later at its peak, the doctor and hate hysteria groups, these haters had even accused the head Director General with Freemasonry, like I mentioned just now. All right. Conspiracy theories. Okay. Not only that, for those who subscribe to the natural health prescription, who some of them previously were ardent supporters of the modern medical technology, started to go deeper in searching for the wisdom, so-called wisdom of the past. They started to move further by trying to dig up the legacy of their forefathers and ancestors. The problem was that they did not stop there. They eventually went to the extreme point and fell to the fascist trap. So they became obsessed with the legends that were famous among their own ethnic circle and eventually started to view their ethnic group as superior than other people. Okay, so these are some of the phenomena that happen. Therefore, from the above-mentioned examples, we could see how the status quo of the common sense became unstable due to the attack by these new ideas. Right? Even people who previously loved the Director General, after they faced, okay, after they read about all of these conspiracy theories in the social media by these influencers, they started to reject anything that came out from the mouth of the Director General. Right? These are some of the phenomena. Okay, and this later on escalated to any policies that came out from the government, including the fiscal policies, foreign policies, etc., were viewed as trying to deceive the public. All right. Okay, so public administration during the pandemic. The pandemic hit the country. Yes, the government did try to blast propagandas, okay, to curb the pandemic. However, confusions among the public were difficult to be administered by the government. The discourses on the pandemic circulated, especially within the social media, and the public began to become polarized surrounding the question of vaccine SOPs. Those who had confidence on the government had given their trust with their own bodies, while those who did not became stuck within their own social media algorithm. Alright, so this negative algorithm controlled them. However, the government did not really able to control the public from keep on succumbing to the negative algorithm of the social media. Right, this polarization happened. Okay, not only within the larger section of the society, okay, even in a family also this occurred. Right, husband and wife quarrel over the matters as well as parents and sons and or daughters. Okay. Yes, fines were given for those who posted false information, alright, but it was done more or less half-heartedly. The law enforcement was not comprehensively enforced to all territories within the cyberspace, and such posting from the expert influencers and the dogmatic followers may have escaped from being punished. Okay? In other words, government failed to maintain the status quo or the well-established common sense that existed before. Yes, the government can be considered successful in terms of managing the public hospital to treat the infected patients. However, there were lack of clarity and convincing statements provided in terms of explanation and information given to the public when infection and death happens. All right, and therefore, I would like to argue that in order to overcome this, the government should at least uh, okay, became transparent back then. Only by coming clean and clear then the public shall willingly and confidently submit themselves to the public administrative processes done by the government in fighting the virus, and thus maintain the solid common sense related to the public health administration, particularly on the medication process for contagious virus as mentioned earlier that used to exist prior to the outbreak. Alright, in order to increase the confidence and trust of the public. Therefore, the government should do that, coming clean and clear, and with regards to the data related to what are the reasons for death to occur, what are the side effects if there are such things. Okay, So that's it from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.